Each one of us here, we are representatives of everyone out in our communities. So if we are making decisions based on just what Erica thinks, that doesn't really work. So I think as being representative, it is constantly asking everyone, what do you think about this goal? What do you need? What do you not have in your community? And if we're coming from it at that point, then I don't think it's really a female versus male issue. No matter where you are, if you like what you're doing, you try to make room at the table for someone else. And for decades, centuries, it's been, I feel like I always have to say, I'm sorry to say this, but it's been white males making room at the table for more white males because that's who they knew and that's what happened. Now we're starting to see more people of color and more people of different genders bring people to the table. And without that happening, we're not going to continue to see parity happen statewide or nationwide.
I think women tend to be more verbal, and so we'll explain things and talk about them probably more than the men who want to just get to the vote and do it. So I do think that comes into play. But I don't think the disagreements on our board have to do with gender at all, really. I had more women criticize me than I did men in the last election. And when they did the Women's March, I had probably 10 letters sent to me by women. And the women said, how does it feel like, Miss Compton? We've got 500 women strong and we're going to be marching against you. And I saved those letters. And I don't think it was a woman issue, really. When I look back at it, I think it was more of a political issue. They didn't like my political stance on things, et cetera. And I can accept that.
I would echo that. I think women are always harder on other women. I think when I was in the corporate side, that was most certainly the case, and it's hard. While I'm very excited about our local statistics, and the only reason I'm in office is just two men sat me down and are like, you can do this, you should do this. And I think a lot of times they say women need to be asked, whereas men will just say, wake up and say, I think I'll go do this. The aspect, I think, why you have so many women locally is, what I do, I'm the PTA president at the elementary school, and what I do for the city is basically just a tack on to that. Like, it's almost like being a PTA president of adults. So, or children. So it's underpaid for the hours. It's a lot of nights and weekends and thankless things and doing a lot with a very small budget. So, that's where we as women jump in. And what I'm waiting to see is women progress to those upper seats so that we can have the balance that we should have nationally. You can't help but make policy from where you're sitting. So I really don't know what it would be like to create policy as a man. So I think we most definitely do. If you look at our top 10 priorities, they're, public safety, there are, streets. We all drive on the streets, but my minivan really takes it as I'm the one driving the local streets a lot. So I think you can't help but influence policy. A lot of what I do at the meeting is listening to my colleagues and I think sometimes that's a female way of decision making, maybe more than a male, because I come to the meeting as interested to hear what they're going to say to say what I'm going to say.
There is research to show that, women's brains are more integrated. We just have more connections between right and left brains. So we tend to be able to take in and evaluate more information and more different aspects of things. So generally speaking, that's what we see. In Atascadero, we have a very long history of women involvement. From our founding in 1913, the Women's Republic, E.G. Lewis was a big proponent of women getting the right to vote. In our 40-year history as an incorporated city, we have had 10 female council members. 7 of them, myself included, have been mayor. 6 were appointed. We just started having an elected mayor in 2012. So it's pretty incredible. We even have had a female majority back in the 80s. So Charles Bourbeau, who is our one male council member right now, he said, there's a majority of women back when I was on council in the 80s. And he says, I don't know if it's me or, that's funny. But as Mayor Pro Tem Shah said, I don't know what it's like to make decisions as a man. I also know I make decisions from my analytical brain of being a CPA and knowing numbers. And so I'm very driven in that way. So I don't know what it is to make decisions as somebody who is not that person. So again, I go back to that diversity of experience and viewpoint that brings us together to represent the whole, I think, much better than when we just have a small group representing everyone.